Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Breaking the Cycle. Today we have a very special guest, Lixine from Keystone. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
Great, awesome.
Good.
Um,
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
thank you
thank
so
you
much
for
for coming
taking the
on.
time.
I know we got a big time gap, so we appreciate you getting up early to come and talk to us. So I know you're a busy man, so I figure we could just hop right in if you don't mind. But we do have some quick questions for you. So, can you tell us a little bit about the products you currently offer? And I know you guys have the V3 that's coming out. That's the Pro version. Can you give us a rundown of that?
Yeah, okay. Hello everyone. My name is Li Xin, and I'm the CEO of Keystone Hardware Wallet. And just like Joe has just mentioned, we are launching our third generation of the hardware wallet. Maybe you've never heard of us before. Actually, we've been in the space for over 5 years.
Hmm.
But the reason why you haven't heard of us before is that for the first 3.5 years, we were dedicated to Bitcoin, which means that we were like targeting the Bitcoin maximalist. And I was one of the Bitcoin maximalists at that time. And because the Bitcoin maximalists, they're super like paranoid and they're very picky about security, about hardware wallet. So for the first 3.5 years, we were like splashed by those Bitcoin maximalists.
Hmm.
And around in the middle of 2021, I was convinced by the concept of Web3, which is a little bit late because we missed the whole DeFi summer, but late but not never, right? Better than never.
Yeah.
So in the middle of 2021, we started getting into Web3. And actually, an interesting story was that back in 2019, we were introduced to MetaMask team, and at that time, MetaMask asked us if we wanted to integrate Keystone with MetaMask, but we refused them because we were in the Bitcoin maximalist community.
Hmm.
So after in 2021, we started to get out of the not get out of to extend it to out of the Bitcoin maximalist community, and we started to explore Web3 in the middle of 2021. And then MetaMask noticed this, so we started working together soon after we get into Web3. Then we get Keystone integrated, the second generation of Keystone integrated with MetaMask. Not only with the MetaMask extension wallet, but also with the MetaMask mobile. So if you are a Web3 guy, you can use Keystone with MetaMask extension and MetaMask mobile. That's one of the biggest point of the product. The second biggest point of the product is that from the form factor wise, you can see that this device has a 4-inch touchscreen.
Hmm.
Both our third generation and second generation, they have the same 4-inch touchscreen. We have this is the reason or the design philosophy behind this product is that we want to we think that in the past like 6 or 7 years, technical security for hardware wallet is developing very fast. So Ledger always Ledger is always shouting out saying that you should have a secure element in the hardware wallet, and also you have a distant screen. But the problem here is that all the hardware vendors, they're ignoring something which is really important for security, which is UX security, user experience security, which means
Hmm.
that you should create a very good user experience so that people are willing to use hardware wallet, and people are not making mistakes when they are using a hardware wallet. This is the core design philosophy behind this 4-inch touchscreen, so that this brings a user experience which is very close to your mobile phone. So people are willing
Yeah.
to use this, and people won't make mistakes when they're using this device. So this is very important. And also another important thing is to the if we come back if we come back to the camera here, if you come back to the back of the device, there's a camera here. So
Hmm.
this is why we're this is how this is also another big difference of our product. When I was designing the product in the first place, I interviewed a lot of biggest miners here in China. And when I was interviewing them, the most important question I asked them is that what's the most anxious time when you are using a hardware wallet? And actually the answer was pretty aligned. They just told me that when they use a hardware wallet, the most anxious time, the first anxious moment is that when they're typing their recovery phrase into the device. The second anxious time is that when they're plugging their device into a laptop through USB. Because when the device is offline, it's totally okay. No one can get access. No one, even for yourself, you can get access to the recovery phrase, to the private keys. But when you are plugging this into your laptop, you don't know what's happening through the USB cable. And also, Joe, in the chat box, I've just shared a YouTube link. Maybe you can open that page, and it's a YouTube video by MetaMask team, and you can mute the video and go through some of the key frames of that video, so people can, the audiences can get a feeling about how you can use Keystone together with a MetaMask mobile wallet. So come back to the story. So those miners, they were super anxious about that, and we feel that this is an opportunity for us. So you can see here on the left, this is Keystone. I'll explain when he moves on. And also for those miners, I really want to bring them a more secure device, or make them feel more secure. So we come up with the idea that maybe we should use QR code to transfer unsigned information and signed information between the software wallet and the hardware wallet. So this is why we have the camera here. He's explaining our device. We have the camera here. So basically, you can set up your transaction on MetaMask, and then MetaMask show the unsigned transaction in a QR code, and then you use the camera to scan the QR code to get the transaction and sign it, and then the device will show another QR code. MetaMask will scan it back and broadcast it to the blockchain. So this is the basic way of using our device with MetaMask. So it's both. You can see this is the process for connecting Keystone and MetaMask. So on Keystone, you will have a QR code. You can select MetaMask. We support many companion software wallets. You select MetaMask, and it comes to a QR code. This QR code doesn't contain your private key, but contains your public key. So MetaMask will get your public key, and then you can see different addresses under this public key, and you can select which address you wanted to manage on your MetaMask. After this process, your private key is still in the Keystone hardware wallet, but your MetaMask has your address, just like a watch-only wallet. So you can watch this address, you can watch the balance of the address, the transactions of the address. MetaMask can retrieve those information from the blockchain. So this is like the first step of set it up. So it's not like Ledger, you connect your hardware wallet through USB to a laptop. And also this interaction, I mean the QR code interaction, is really reliable. So through USB, we all know, I'm a long-term Ledger user. I've been using Ledger for like 5-6 Ledgers. And one of the key reasons I replace my Ledger from time to time is that the USB port, the USB Type-C port is not functional. The connection was not good. So you know how cumbersome it is when you are using it, and you just touch the USB cable or USB port, and then you need to retype the password of the device to get into the device again. So that's really cumbersome. But for QR code, it's really reliable. Before. So here is the process that MetaMask set up the transaction and show the QR code. Maybe Joe, you can go back for like 15 seconds so I can explain that again for the audiences.
Yep.
Go back to go back again. More like 50. Yeah, this is good. So here, MetaMask show the QR code. This QR code contains the unsigned transaction. And our device scan the MetaMask, and you can see all the information on the device. And also we have a fingerprint sensor. So you can sign the transaction just with a tap of your finger rather than typing your long password. So, and then our device signed the transaction with the private key, and this QR code contains the signed transaction. So the very last step is using MetaMask to scan this QR code, and MetaMask will broadcast the transaction to the blockchain. So this is the process of using Keystone together with MetaMask. By the way, this is our second generation, and we're launching our third generation. So this is the introduction of the QR code. It's very reliable, and all the QR codes are open source, which means that you can use a third-party device, or you can use your mobile phone to scan the QR code to make sure that nothing malicious is getting into your hardware wallet, and your private keys are not getting out of your hardware wallet. So we wanted to create this kind of like trustless, transparent and trustless process to make sure that you can audit everything, and then people feel, okay, I'm safe with this device. So this is one of the key like design philosophies behind our device. And also another big design philosophy is that if you go through our website, you can maybe if you are careful enough, one of the most interesting thing you can find is that we don't offer a Keystone software wallet here. So if you use a Ledger, you know that you must use Ledger Live to upgrade the firmware, everything, and the ridiculous Ledger recovery is also on the Ledger Live software wallet. But for Keystone, we're not offering any software wallet because we have a different like product mindset or product philosophy for the device. In our eyes, a Web3 native product should maximize the compatibility of the product. For example, if you are like running a DeFi protocol, you want your DeFi protocol to be aggregated by other aggregators. You also want your DeFi protocol to be implemented in different wallets, in different like services, right? So this is the most charming part of building a Web3 wallet, a Web3 product. So you are trying to maximize the compatibility of this product. And this is very cool for Web3. But a lot of companies in the Web3 community, they're running the company in a Web2 mindset. For example, if Keystone, we offer a hardware wallet, and also if we offer a software wallet, that is really Web2 mindset because we're trying to attract a user from a security perspective through our hardware, and then we're trying to lock them in the Keystone ecosystem, which means that we can make money not only from selling hardware, but also making money from like offering staking services and other services on our software wallet. This is very, very Web2 mindset because you are trying to build a walled garden to lock the user in the walled garden. So we are very against this, even though this is very good for our commercial purposes, but we're very against this. We want to build a hardware wallet that's compatible with all the software wallets on this planet. And this is extremely good for the user also. For example, Andres, you just told me that you have a lot of Solana. We integrated with Soulflare wallet in the Solana community, which is one of the best software wallet, and also the only wallet that was not suffering from the private key breach previously. by Slope and other software wallets. So we really love them, and they have a great work on building software wallet. We integrate Keystone with Soulflare. This means that if you love Solana, most likely you start from a software wallet rather than having a hardware wallet to manage your assets on Solana wallet. Let's say you start from Soulflare wallet, and then your Solana assets grows to a bigger amount of assets, and then you want to use a hardware wallet to manage your Solana assets. And the best way for a user to do that is having a hardware wallet that's perfectly compatible with Soulflare wallet. And then you don't need to adapt to another ecosystem, which is Keystone hardware wallet plus Keystone's own software wallet. And maybe Keystone software wallet, because we're not like very we're not very targeted on Solana ecosystem. Maybe Keystone software wallet, it doesn't support very well for all the Solana features like staking and other NFT, DeFi, or anything. But with the integration between Keystone and Soulflare software wallet, we perfectly support Solana ecosystem, which means that different like signing types, different transactions, we can sign them very well. So this is the design philosophy. And this also makes us extremely focused on the hardware wallet to build that into the best security tool for the community.
It almost makes me feel better. To be honest with you, I definitely want one. I know we've talked offline. I'm definitely purchasing one, but it almost makes me feel better. Well, it does actually make me feel better knowing that y'all are just straight focused on the hardware aspect. Let everyone else deal with everything else. It's not your focus. Like, and I'm not saying that's not something y'all don't, eventually stretch it down to, but at this point, it seems like your focus is just so much on we need to make sure that everything is safe and secure, that we don't care what everyone else is doing. This is our focus, not your keys, not your crypto, like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you guys were around, but you're not as well known during that, last fiasco with all those people. I really wish more people were like you guys, focused on security and making sure that customers' assets are protected all the time. So I do give you guys huge props for that. That is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We kind of covered my second question, which is how you guys are constantly pushing advancement, and your tech is constantly growing. So we kind of covered that. So I wanted to go ahead and go on to our next question, which is, why did you guys choose open source coding versus closed source? And can you explain the pros and cons of both? I'm not at all versed, I should say, on that. So I would like to know from my own personal info.
Okay. So for open source, first I wanted to explain that open sourcing your code is not just like simply publish your code on GitHub. That's not open sourcing. So open sourcing is a huge project. So because in the first days we were closed source, and then we turned ourselves into open source. So we've been through the process of like turning a project from closed source to open source. So I can explain that, like how much did we suffer on that process. So first, if you open source your code quality is much higher, because if you're a coder, you know that if you want to realize a function or a feature, there are like tens of ways to write the code, or even hundreds of ways to write the code. You can write it in an ugly way, you can write it in an elegant way. So if you open source your code, you always push yourself to write your code in the best way, because other people will see your code. And if they see very ugly code or very unstructured code, then you will lose trust from the community. So open source, one of the best thing for open source is that this will significantly improve the quality of your code. That's very important. That's the first thing. The second thing for open source is that open source when you open source your device, when you open source your code, it's very important for you to do code auditing. If you're closed source, most of the people they don't open source their code auditing report, and they are not very seriously doing their code auditing. That's another like downside of closed source. That's code auditing. And the third part is after you open source your code, everyone can examine your code. This is very important. So not only hackers, but also white hat hackers will examine your code, and most likely you will move faster than the hackers with bad intention. So this is the third important thing. And also open source code will also make it almost impossible for a malicious engineer, which means within the team, it's possible that one of the engineer wants to do some bad things. If you open source your code, it makes even impossible for your internal engineers to do like things with bad intention. That's also another benefit of open source. So last but not the least, open source will make you like so everything will be getting improved. Code quality, code auditing, yeah, everything. So this is the benefit of open source. And this is why we are very stick to open sourcing. We not only open source the code of the device, we are also working on like auditing for our hardware. I mean, the circuit board design, this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
We will also open source the circuit design. So make sure that everything can be examined, because we truly believe that in this space, if you want to create consensus, if you wanted to create trust, open source transparency is really important. We cannot imagine that if Bitcoin or Ethereum is not open source, it won't come to this point for the whole project, right? So this is very important for us, open source.
Excellent.
Mhm.
I forgot I was muted. My bad. Sorry, I was just looking through. You guys have a lot of really popular projects on there. So how did you guys jump from being Bitcoin maxis to having, I mean, honestly, I think the most amount of altcoins that I've seen on a hardware wallet. How did you guys make that jump so quickly?
Actually, it was not a like quick jump, because you know that the DeFi summer started from the middle of 2020. And
yeah, okay, you're right. Touche.
yeah, after the DeFi summer, a lot of people they are getting into the space, and a lot of people came to me and ask, "Hey, Lixing, would you get hardware? Would you get Keystone integrated with MetaMask?" And you know, the DeFi summer also changes a lot of the views of a Bitcoin maximalist. They started to like see Ethereum from a different angle, and also they are asking us that, would you support MetaMask, this kind of thing. And at that time, actually, I was the guy who laid back a lot. I was like more closed-minded. So at that time, a lot of DeFi projects, they're not very like legit, you know. A lot of people get in and do the liquidity mining and get out of the DeFi project, and then the whole project collapse. So I was still wondering by whether this is a like long-term thing, because you know, when we're working on Bitcoin, dedicated to Bitcoin, the biggest reason is that we feel that Bitcoin is the thing that will last forever. And also for a hardware wallet, it's very for a hardware wallet, you have to do things from a long-term perspective, because people will use a hardware maybe for like 10 years, or maybe after 20 years, they grab the hardware wallet and they want to do a transaction. So a hardware, it's very important for a hardware to have a timeless design. This is very important.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't think about, is that you're going to be using these, you know, potentially for the rest of your lives. So they need to be quality product, you know, and that think you guys definitely, from everything that I've seen, have nailed
Yeah.
that out of the park.
Yeah. For the quality, I wanted to share with you guys that our leader of the quality control, he was previously one of the key person that to do quality control for iPhone, for the early iPhone
Oh,
products.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
very
was
cool.
working for Foxconn. So they were producing iPhone products at that time. So she was doing the iPhone quality control at that time. Yeah,
Okay.
that's just a side story. So back to getting to Web3. So I was kind of, actually, I was not fully convinced by DeFi, but I was convinced by the concept of DAO at that time. So I feel that Bitcoin is a big DAO, but Bitcoin doesn't have too much like incentive for all the Bitcoin core developers to maintain this. It's kind of more of a like a religion, Bitcoin. So based on the religion, you are maintaining Bitcoin, you are like sharing the idea of Bitcoin to the whole community. But the DAO is different. Based on the tokens on Ethereum, the DAO is totally different. You get like a real incentives to do things to make it better, to make it more popular. So that makes me think different about Ethereum, about Web3, and that's one of the key reasons that we got into Web3. And also at that time, every week, some of our engineers or employees will come to me, ask me, "Hey, Lixing, when we support like Web3," and some of them knew that we were connected to MetaMask before, so they don't want to lose the opportunity. But still, we were a little bit late. We got into Web3 in the middle of 2021, but yeah, later better than never, right?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have definitely made a huge splash. If you guys have definitely, if you came in late, I'm very much looking forward to see what you're going to do in this next bull run. Then, when you have a bunch of time to prepare, because I've spoken privately to Cosmos Haas, which I think you guys sent him a prototype, and he was we had him on what was it, 2 weeks ago, I think. And we spent probably 20 or 30 minutes before the show just talking about the wallet and how much he liked it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. We integrate Keystone with Kepler, which is the number one software wallet in the Cosmos ecosystem. And the experience is really good. We're also integrating their mobile end. So then you can use a hardware wallet to manage not only on your laptop, but also on mobile, which is really convenient.
Yeah. No, it looks amazing. So kind of what are you looking forward to next or the most for this next coming bull run for you guys? Like what projects do you have that you think are going to be, or maybe you can't tell us, but what's just what gets you excited the most about this next coming bull run?
Okay, actually stablecoin.
Okay.
But that's not related to Keystone for the stablecoin, but because with the integration with MetaMask, with Kepler, and also with Solflare, you can easily use Keystone to manage all these stablecoins on different blockchains.
Yeah.
And but for the stablecoin, when I was very bullish is that so a little bit more about my background. I've been working on hardware for over 10 years. And all the hardware projects we were selling worldwide. So selling the hardware mostly to the people in the United States and also to the people in the Europe. So in the past over 10 years, I was suffering from centralized payment ecosystem.
Oof.
Yeah, so there are tons of frictions. For example, if you're in the States and you want to pay a company in the Europe to like purchase their product, like they're around like 20% or like 15%, you will fail on the payment process.
Wow.
That's simply because you are purchasing from a European company, and that company is not paying tax to the US government. So the centralized payment ecosystem sucks. Really sucks. So I was suffering from that for quite a long time, and the payment failure rate and the different like ecosystems for example, if you go to France, French people, they not only use Visa and MasterCard, they also use a card called Blue Card. And you need to like implement, if you want to targeting those French people, you must implement the Blue Card payment ecosystem into your website. So it's like ridiculous. There's no like standard or there's nothing that other people can use seamlessly. But stablecoin is the cure for all this stuff. And also we all know that the whole world is getting worse and worse. Like they're very like incapable governments like the Turkey, the Argentina, and their local fiat is like shit right now. Sorry for the word. So I think stablecoin is the cure for all these bad things, and that's why I'm really bullish on stablecoin. And for the stablecoin, actually, we acquired a small team recently. In the 3 months ago, we acquired a small team. They were working on a software wallet strictly for stablecoin, not for DeFi, not for NFT. If you get into the software wallet, it only supports stablecoin. And we're launching this product very soon. So maybe in like 1 or 2 months, we can talk about that again for that product. And basically, that software wallet is a totally different story for software wallet like MetaMask or like Solflare, because the first difference of that software wallet is that it doesn't require recovery phrase. You can use Google login to create a self-custody wallet because they're using smart contract as a software. So the smart contract has the logic that you can recover the wallet with sending an email, which means that you don't need to get bothered with the private key. So there's a whole logic behind it. I'm writing a big blog for that. I can share that later. So basically, the first thing is that you don't need a recovery phrase. You can do social login to have this self-custody software wallet. And the second thing is that you can pay gas fee with stablecoin rather than like Matic. This is very important for like onboarding those like Web2 users, or let's say a taxi driver in Turkey to onboarding him. This is very important. And the third thing is that we also make cross-chain transaction and swapping between USDC to USDT seamlessly. So let's say if you have like $100 on all the L2 blockchains that we support, but you wanted to send 50 USDC to an address on BSC, but you don't have USDC, USDT on BSC, and we can do the cross-chain and the swapping with just one transaction. So this is amazing. We call that chain agnostic or chain abstraction, which means that you don't need to understand like different chains. You don't need to do swapping and cross-chain from time to time to pay different people. So this is what we do for that. So we wanted to develop a software wallet that can be seamlessly used by Web2 user. So this is what we're building. It's totally different from MetaMask and other software wallets. And we strongly feel that, but for that software wallet, right now we're targeting the Philippines, because the Philippines is the biggest country for like international freelancers. They're receiving payment worldwide from the people from the US, from the people from the Europe. And if they use that Web2 payment system, it usually takes them like at least a 5% to 10% like transaction fee and exchange fee to turn that into Philippine pesos. But for us, we can keep that each transaction, no matter how much money you want to transfer, we can keep that within 1 to 2 cents. Polygon.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so this is what I'm super bullish about, and maybe you've also seen that PayPal just launched their stablecoin. We strongly feel that stablecoin is the driver that driving billions of people into this space, and it's not making them to make big money like DeFi or NFT, but stablecoin is making them to protect their wealth. This is really important.
Yeah, that's a very good point about stable coins. I've been seeing a lot about it, but I think you're 100% correct that I think this next bull run, it's going to get a lot of people who are going to be more interested because you have companies offering higher APRs on their money and stable coins than they are through their banks. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to be coming to the point where it doesn't make sense to have a bank account anymore. If you can just, like if you're saying that the Philippines is the most, popular country for freelance workers, what's to stop someone, to go into the Philippines and just taking their, Keystone wallet and, whatever else they decide they want to keep in stable coins, and they're just moving down there and they're just their own person. They're off grid at that point, it's really amazing.
And actually, this is a very old narrative of blockchain, which is banking the unbanked people, right?
Yeah, we talk about that.
But the problem is that, like 4 years ago, if you wanted to bank those unbanked people with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but because with Bitcoin and Ethereum and the recovery phrase wallet, that's like impossible, because the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're going up and down, they're versatile. Going up and down from time to time. It's really hard to get accepted by some people who's not very well, who's unbanked and also not very well educated. So, but then it comes to the whole DeFi summer and everything. And actually the team we merged, they have developed this for over 2 years, because developing a software wallet, developing a smart contract as a software wallet is really, really hard. A lot of you need to save the transaction fee, optimize for the transaction fee. You need to deal with a lot of cryptographic algorithms, this kind of thing. So it's been a long-term development, and also the development of stablecoin, of DeFi, of the whole ecosystem. So everything is like a puzzle. So different pieces are coming together. So we strongly feel that right now it's a perfect time to develop this, to kind of help those people with this software wallet with stablecoin. So, and also fiat on-ramp and off-ramp, this kind of service, they are becoming more and more mature. These also are the missing pieces for all the things that are going to happen. And this is what we're building in the last couple of months. And hopefully we can release that at the end of September or early October, and we can talk about that later.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Now, one thing I don't remember if we mentioned this, but my favorite part about your guys' wallet is the fact that it has the SD card, or the micro SD card. Can you explain to the viewers the purpose behind y'all putting a micro USB or SD card in there, and how that plays an effect in updating the hardware?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing, because we wanted to create, so as you know, we come from the Bitcoin maximalist community, right?
Yes.
So they were very, very paranoid. They were very, very paranoid about security, because some of them put their life savings on Bitcoin. So they really, really care about that. And they were asking that if we can, because we doesn't need a USB cable to sign a transaction. And another big thing that we need to do that concerns them is that how do we do firmware upgrade? If we do firmware upgrade through USB cable, then we are breaking, then we cannot serve those paranoid people. So that's why we have the micro SD card. And if we have the micro SD card, if you wanted to upgrade the firmware, the most secure process is you download the firmware from our website, and also then you use your laptop to put that firmware in a micro SD card. And then you can insert your micro SD card into the device. There's a slot here. You can insert micro SD card, and you turn on the device and upgrade the firmware. And also another detail I want to share is that when you are upgrading the firmware, the device will show you the hashing of the firmware package, and you can compare the hashing of the firmware package to the hashing of the firmware on our website to make sure that you download the exact firmware from our website to your device. And also you can make a double confirm. If you're more paranoid, you can make a double confirm on our GitHub, because our website may be hacked. So you can go to our website to check the hashing of the firmware upgrade. So again, echo back to that, we're strictly focused on hardware wallet. This means that we're like trying to cover like all the security details, even like as detailed as showing the hashing of the firmware to the user. So this is very important for us. And also, let me find another blog post for you to share with you why the micro SD card is really important.
Yeah, please.
Let me show you a blog. One sec.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, I think this maybe not the best one. Okay, can you see this blog? Can you see this support article?
Yeah, it opened up in the wrong window. Give me 1 second right there.
Okay. Sorry, would you share another link I shared with you?
Yeah, hold on.
Mm-hmm. The first link is the support page. The second link is our blog about this.
Yeah, I got too many tabs going here.
Mm-hmm. No worries. So basically, when you're signing a DeFi transaction or any interaction with the smart contract, so the second link.
The second link
Yeah,
is one? Okay.
This is okay. This page is okay. So basically, when you are signing a DeFi transaction or any transaction interacting with the smart contract, if you want to sign that on Ledger, most likely you are blind signing this transaction. Blind signing for this transaction. Why we call it blind signing? Because you cannot verify the whole transaction on your Ledger.
Mm-hmm.
And if your software wallet is hacked, and if the hacker just makes some parameters of the DeFi interaction into some malicious, for example, their own address, this kind of thing, then you will swap your token and send the token to the hacker's address. This is very risky for using traditional hardware wallet for DeFi projects. And to solve this, we need to have each smart contract ABI. There's one thing called ABI. You can take that as an API, but the ABI is for the smart contract. And if you use that ABI, the device can decode the DeFi transaction into human readable form. So this will help you to understand what you are signing for this DeFi transaction. This is very important for people who interact a lot with the DeFi projects. And with the micro SD card, you can download, like right now we support, I think we support over 120,000 different smart contracts. So you can download the ABI of those smart contracts from our GitHub or from our website, and you put that information into the micro SD card. Then Keystone can decode those over 120,000 DeFi projects, smart contract for you, so you're not blind signing this transaction. So this video explained this very well, so you guys can check it later.
If you're someone who's in,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
and
this is
we
also-
can put the link in the video description as well, Joe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Right on. I know you. We only have you for a few more minutes. So I like to try and end the interviews on like typical questions that you don't typically ever get, right? Like I hope you haven't gotten. So last question is, what dad advice do you have for any of our listeners, or what do you wish someone had told you when you were younger?
Okay. So you want a security side, like crypto side. You want to advice for security or advice for like crypto or
whatever floats your boat, whatever feels right. Just throw it out there. Go with your gut.
Okay. So because we're talking about security, we're talking about hardware wallet. So maybe I will throw advice for people who want to better secure their cryptocurrencies.
Sure.
So that advice is really simple. So actually, I want to share is that hardware wallet is not your silver bullet for your security, but your knowledge about cryptocurrency is the silver bullet. So this is very important. Some people think that, okay, I buy a ledger, I buy a Keystone, and then I'm secure. That is totally wrong. You should learn more about all the logics behind the hardware wallet and all the designs behind the hardware wallet. How does it protect your cryptocurrency? And if you use a software wallet, what kind of risks will you suffer? Will you suffer from, or what kind of like attacking surfaces or like attacking scenarios you will suffer from a software wallet? You need to understand all of this. And that's the silver bullet for you. That the knowledge is the silver bullet for you to protect your cryptocurrency. That's the most important thing I want to share, not hardware wallet. Your knowledge is the silver bullet. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Definitely.
Do your own research, guys.
Yeah.
That's DYOR.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. Do you guys have do you have a hard date on when that's going to be, when the wallets are going to be starting to ship?
I think right now we have sold out the first batch.
Okay. Wow.
The second batch you will receive that around the end of October or early November if you are in the US.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we look forward to a lot of people getting them and seeing how their reviews on them. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we hope
thank you, Joe. Thank you, Annalise. Thank you. You too.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.